it's unpacked in the most profane and ghetto fashion possible.
Boys, Jason Whitlock this conversation is a lot bigger than basketball, especially with Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock is taking this to a whole new heights as far as the attention span of the viewer and what keeps you engaged. All right, family, welcome back to the channel. And if you find yourself here, it is because you want to stay up to date on all the latest news, information around the NBA. And I mean, you're in the right spot. And that's facts. Simply put, it's straight hot fire.
Shots fired today.
All right, so around the league, you got OKC Thunder versus the Boston Celtics at 7:30. And this preview will be a clash of conference leaders. Number 1, OKC Thunder in the West, and number 2, Boston of the East. Also, some other information that you need to know. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, 25 points versus the Nuggets, where they fell. Sam Hauser had the hot hand, hitting 9 threes last night. Man, could it carry over again?
I beg your pardon?
I said, can it carry over again? We got the Timberwolves versus the Nuggets at 10 p.m. on ESPN. It will be a straight semifinals rematch with Edwards resting versus the Suns on March 11th. He should have enough innings. And here's a quick injury update. At the time of this video, these players are questionable. You have Kawhi Leonard, Jeremy Slohan, Dante X, Brandon Clark, Yusuf Nurkic, Robert Williams, Matisse Thybulle, Brandon Williams, I know from the mouth, and Jaden Springer. The player that is doubtful for tonight is Keontae George with the Jazz. Out, Kai Jones, bruh, he's always out. And Charles Beasley likely playing. Vince Williams will likely play, and Luke Kennard. What are the betting lines? OKC and Boston is a pick'em with heavy action for the Celtics at home, and the Nuggets are favored 4.5 over the Wolves. All right, family, have you ever found yourself needing a video to watch? Just a one-stop shop in order to get all the basketball, NBA news information in one-stop shop? Never fear. No reason to feel lost anymore. Come tap into the one-stop shop for all things basketball. And I see you, and I appreciate you for being here. Let's lock in.
I want to break down and spend some more time talking about this clash between Stephen A. Smith and LeBron James during the third quarter of an NBA game.
Learn today.
Stephen A. Smith yesterday went on the Gilbert Arenas, Gil's Arena podcast. They had a massive audience, and Stephen A. was on there for more than an hour giving his side of the story, discussing this dust-up between himself and LeBron James. I think this topic is very important. LeBron has suggested that, you know, he was defending his son, and he confronted Stephen A. about his son. You're talking about my son, and we'll play a little collection of Stephen A.'s explanation of what transpired. But I want you to pay careful attention to the way this is unpacked for an audience. And it's unpacked in the most profane and ghetto fashion possible.
Boys, Jason Whitlock this conversation is a lot bigger than basketball, especially with Jason Whitlock. Jason Whitlock is taking this to a whole new heights as far as the attention span of the viewer and what keeps you engaged.
My bad, little homie. What's up?
Get your mask.
All right.
How Stephen A. and LeBron James are being used in a whole plot in order to keep us in this loop and not even realize it.
And I find this not surprising, odd, counterproductive. I'm sitting here. Here's the biggest star in all of basketball, biggest star perhaps in all of sports. He has a confrontation with the highest paid, highest profile person in sports media. These about his child, allegedly. This is what LeBron is purporting it's about. And so there's a lot of eyes and ears on this entire discussion. And what are those eyes and ears being treated to? Here's LeBron James, a father of 3, 2 sons that are athletes, 1 son that he has forced into the NBA.
Oh, say that.
Stephen A. Smith, 57 years old, allegedly a father of 2. We don't see much of these kids, but allegedly, when
Wait a minute.
2 or 3 minutes a day when he's not on air on TV running for president.
Did he say 2 or 3 minutes? Man, that's some things to put into perspective. How is Stephen A. gonna come at LeBron? That's all I got to say, Jason Whitlock is out here.
Or
What was that?
talking about sports.
It is
During
research.
those 2 or 3 minutes a day, he allegedly is a father of 2. So we have a 57-year-old father of 2. We have a 40-year-old father of 3. And they allegedly are in a dispute about the treatment of LeBron James's oldest son. And so, again, a lot of eyes and ears. LeBron James has the I Promise School. LeBron James is an activist. LeBron James is purporting to be some sort of role model for young black men. And here's Stephen A. Smith. He is.
I ain't gonna lie, man. Hey, the only person that's gonna be in a picture laying on the floor on a well-ly furnished rug in my house is me.
And that's fact.
Of role model as it relates or purports to be someone that's out looking out for the best interests of black men and black people. This is out of his own mouth. This isn't me. This is how Stephen A. cast himself as someone who.
And we all know it was a lot of things, especially when it comes to Stephen A., where they were trying to pull his card.
I beg your pardon.
I said they were trying to pull Stephen A. card. That's why he's so upset out here using all these cuss words. The bag and run. Hey, that's why they say, man, you can't pay him too early. You got to pay him after the job is done.
And that's facts.
The best interests of black people in his heart. And so they're having a public feud. And now there's this discussion that's engulfing a lot of the sports media landscape about, hey, did LeBron James handle this properly? Hey, did Stephen A. Smith cross a line with LeBron James' son? There's a lot of discussion about fathers and sons.
I'm not gonna lie, it's wild the fact that LeBron came out of a timeout to confront somebody that doesn't have nothing to do with your current objective. The fact that they won is a blessing, because if they would have lost and he would have did that, man, would have been too much to bear.
You're gonna learn today.
So why would two people, and again, I can't put this on LeBron. LeBron handled his on the sideline, brief moment. You can't really hear what LeBron is saying. But here's Stephen A. Smith, the elder statesman in all of this. And his appearance on Gilbert Arenas is one of the most profane, idiotic, baffling explanations I've ever seen. Just keep in mind, when I say who Stephen A. Smith is, remember when he leaped into action when he thought some Duke volleyball player got called a name at BYU, and he leaped into action. He's got this young girl's back, and he's going to be the protector of, I think her name's Rachel Richardson, because her auntie said on Twitter she got called a name at BYU. These men that allegedly want to protect young black people, the interests of young black people, here they're having a major discussion about fatherhood. And Stephen A. Smith sounds like...
Before he gets into this, were you just imagine, as far for those of you who had a genuine male role model in your life, to see them up on the podcast talking the way Stephen A. was talking, would the respect that you hold for that person come down? Because once you have a certain reputation, it takes years to build up your reputation, but it only takes a millisecond to destroy it, or at least put a bad light. You never want to leave a bad taste in someone's mouth about you. Hey, and that's just rude.
Cardi B's boyfriend, or Snoop Doggy Dogg in his heyday, or whoever the most rapper you can think of. That's how he presented himself with Gilbert Arenas, Kenyon Martin.
And it's funny because you had Kenyon Martin dressing up and Stephen A. dressed down. So we had people on the panel not even being themselves.
Martin, Rashawn McCants, Swaggy P, and Swaggy P's real name Nick Young, whoever the host is, Stephen A. Smith, and we'll play just a little compilation of 3 or 4 of these videos. It'll take some time, but I just want to give you a taste of how they unpack this conversation about how LeBron behaved as a father. This is an opportunity. I believe it, when I looked, they had 80,000, 90,000 live concurrents watching them on YouTube. That's a
It's Jason Whitlock hating because they had a lot of people in the stream.
Massive YouTube audience. That's bigger than a lot of these shows on Fox Sports get, on television. They got 80, 90,000 people watching their podcast on YouTube. That's a massive audience, and that's primarily young people. And this is how Stephen A. Smith.
But you got to look, a lot of those people, I'm not going to say that, but what I am going to say, a good amount of those people that are watching don't even agree with Gil.
I think this speaks to a larger issue going on within black culture, within leftist culture. But first, let me play these 3 or 4 clips back to back of Stephen A. Smith.
About to get deep, y'all.
His story about
Strap up.
What transpired between him and LeBron James and some of the fallout.
I thought it was apparently LeBron had walked out of the timeout, and I turned around and he's right here in my face. He said, "Yo, you gotta stop with my son." And I said, "All right, though, because it's coming." That to me is where I reach back and I pay back by giving cats the heads up of the minefield, because I've been here for 30 years. I got fired, I lost my job, they thought my career was over. I've been through all of this, all of it. And I'm like, yo, I know where the minefields lie. And I'm telling you what's...
Hey, when Stephen A. cuss, do you think he really, it looked like he got to concentrate to get that word out? It's from the years of programming of not cussing. And now he has free range to cuss since he signed this deal. He thinks he's the freshest thing since fresh air. I'm just saying.
You're gonna learn today.
coming. And then this go down, and everybody act like I never said none of this. I said, this f***ed up. Oh, my God, can somebody... I mean, I know I got a show, and I know I got my podcast, but I'm like, goddamn, y'all, I'm fair. I don't know who it is. It's you, it's you. It don't matter who it is. Damn it, I'm just meeting you. If somebody unfair to you, I'm going to be like, that's not fair. But when it comes to me, everybody get crickets. That motherfucker Stephen A. on his own. That, respectfully, excuse my language, shit like that could happen with somebody like LeBron. But LeBron up here, and he know he up here. He don't give a the problem is when it comes to the media, goddamn it, I'm up here. You understand? And as a result, you can sit up there, you can make... Shots fired! But you see, I got 10 hours of airwaves a week live. And I got my podcast. And I got other outlets. And y'all don't even know what the f***'s coming down the pike in terms of opportunities I got coming my way. I'm just getting started. If you had something...
Ain't nothing like a woman scoring.
That's facts.
Stephen A., calm down, my boy. You took an L, man. Just take the L, man. Both of y'all really taking L's. But the fact that, I'm going to be honest, Stephen A., you got to watch him. Because what he just said, he has so many different outlets of touching somebody without touching them, whether that is over the media airwaves or through people in your social circle. You never know. It's a small world.
You're gonna learn today.
You said, Stephen A., you free today? Man, I got to rap to you about this LeBron shit. It's a scheduling issue if I don't show up. I'm not running. Because, yo, Stephen A., I think that's what you did. Okay, let me tell you what happened. Now, if you still think after I give you my version, I'm good with it. But the point is that, to me, when some of these players do, it's like everybody just take it as gold. I'm like, really? I'm like, they don't lie. The biggest liars. They don't.
Hey, this thing got so real in here. McCanston took off the mask. Boy, turned in the future with the straight.
I remember one time, KD, one of the many times he was sitting up there talking about, well, you know what? You know, who he talk to? He in Brooklyn. He know about Golden State. What the hell he know about what's going on? He turned around, he did a double take. Because that night I was sitting with the owner. It was a GM for another team. Another night, it was one of the GMs, assistant GMs. It's like, you don't know who I get. There isn't a team.
Okay, so during this conversation, they were talking about the MVP voting and how the voting and the voters' bias can affect how they vote when it comes to the booth. And Stephen A. is one person that says he does not condone that. And if somebody is doing that, they should be fired. But then at the same time, when you're speaking about this situation, the way you're speaking about it, Stephen A., are you really capable of allowing your biases and how you feel about certain players to not affect how you vote?
In the league that I can't get information from. The whole is this. When you have platforms like this and shit like that, you got cast that's just real. You understand?
I swear Jason Whitlock literally did all the clips that Stephen A. was cussing. He just caused me a good amount of time with editing. Because I'm going to try to edit all these cuss words out. Man, real talk. And I don't want to influence you. You know what I'm saying? I want y'all to be, if y'all can cuss on your own, but don't be influenced by me.
I'm saying you ain't. And so you going to come at from a real perspective.
So that's Stephen A. dropping MFs and F-bombs and saying S-H-I-T.
What I say, man?
And I'm like,
You're gonna learn
what is
today.
going on here? This is a journalist. This is the highest profile employee at ESPN. Why is he doing this? Wasn't this man just on a podcast ripping James Carville for cussing at him? James Carville, the Democratic political strategist, used some profanity and talking about Stephen A. Smith, and Stephen A. Smith chastised him. What's going? Why is James Carville cussing? Why is Stephen A. Smith cussing? Why
is Jason Whitlock saying Stephen A. is held to a different standard? Is it true that money allows you certain access and certain privileges in order for you not to be criticized? I need to know.
I beg your pardon.
Is Stephen A. above the law? What he was claiming certain people were above the law. It's funny when the shoe is on the other foot.
Jasmine Crockett cursing constantly. Why are all the Democrats seemingly presenting themselves in the most ghetto and unprofessional fashion imaginable?
All right, family, this is a basketball channel. Y'all didn't want to hear too much about politics. Let's see if I can skip ahead, see what he's talking about.
The way he handled getting shot at, more than 1 million people have tried relief factors early in her. You're the face of ESPN.
Motherfucker. Okay, I'm done.
So that's Jasmine Crockett doing her best Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion. What is going on? Why isn't there great objection to all of this? What isn't ESPN, Disney? Say, Stephen A., we're paying you $20 million a year. You're the face of ESPN. Why have you devolved into some sort of buffoonish rapper?
Hey, man. Jason Whitlock is making some serious claims here. What we need to do in this time is to watch Stephen A. carefully to see what are the narratives that he is promoting or pushing. Y'all know that they said that he's a front runner for the Democratic Party next election. So is it the fact that they're trying to push him out here and make sure he gets that deal? So therefore, when it comes time for him to start pulling strings, then he'll be the perfect puppet. I don't know. You tell me. This just got real deep.
And that's facts.
What is Disney's watching this? Bob Iger sees it. There's no way he's missing this. Everywhere Stephen A. Smith is going, he's trying to present himself as some sort of profane ghetto thug. And if Bob Iger and Disney were interested.
Now, I'm not going to lie. I do think Jason Whitlock on this one is stretching with the words that he just used in this sentence that he just said.
In putting a stop to it, all they'd have to do is say, hey, man, you're the face of our organization. Don't do that. And it would stop on an instant, on a dime. Companies doing this for years. There's been a way that companies have always wanted to be presented. And has the whole world just pivoted to Snoop Dogg and Dr. Dre? Is that where we're at? And Bob Iger are. What have they been doing to cartoons for kids? Sexualizing them, grooming them into a debaucherous, degenerate,
he going off on a tangent
worldview and mindset. This is just the next layer to that. All the explanations, what I would think, about that if LeBron had stepped to him, it would have been boom, boom. And I'm, Kenyon, you in your 40s, dog. Ghetto explanations from a group of what I would think Kenyon Martin. Kenyon Martin's got a son in the NBA now. Kenyon Martin's got to be in his 40s. Gilbert Arenas has got to be pushing early 40s. Rashad McCants.
It's using the age defense. They too old for this.
Mid-30s. And Stephen A. Smith,
Gonna learn today.
Elder statesman of there, 57. They had an idiot. They blew an opportunity. It was a stupid conversation. They had young men, young fathers watching, looking for some sort of wisdom from a group of men that have made a lot of money and are seen as super successful. And what were they given? They sounded like a group of rappers talking about beef.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. It be getting so catty over there.
And how they would have handled beef. Kenyon Martin, someone that I halfway like, but he's sitting there talking about that if LeBron had stepped to him, it would have been boom, boom. And
yeah, man. At some point, we got to realize that every consequence has an action. Yeah, you could choose to do that, but is the consequences going to be worth it? Hey, it ain't worth it, man. Once you hear that clink, clink, you realize real fast.
Kenyon, you in your 40s, dog.
Yeah, go home to your kids. Make sure you able to provide for your family. Yeah.
Them days is over. You're not an NBA player.
He
you
was.
can be Charles Oakley if you want to be, and that's the only thing you have to offer the world is I'm a tough guy and I'm an enforcer all throughout the rest of your life. And Kenya said, "Yeah, they put me in cuffs and walk away." But if LeBron has stepped to me, and what are we doing?
Are they being real?
We have a chance to speak to young people, provide wisdom. We have no interest in. Maybe we have no wisdom to offer, and maybe that's by design too. Maybe that's why. Whoever is supporting the Gilbert Arenas podcast and driving all that YouTube traffic to Gilbert Arenas, maybe it's intentional.
I beg your pardon.
Hey, that's a claim right there. That's a serious claim. Driving all that traffic. Who's behind it? I thought Gil was behind the Gilbert Arenas podcast.
Wait a minute.
Is it a true mystery? Yeah, we're going to find out, though.
You're gonna learn today.
Or maybe there's a demographic, my demographic, that has been bathed in so much profanity and degeneracy that that's all we can understand. That's the only way to reach and communicate with us. I've watched the Gilbert Arenas podcast, and I don't want to take pot shots at those guys, but I'm amazed like this. Leave them out of it. I watched the shots fired. This major audience. They're two guys giggling on air. They have nothing wise to say. And you watch this and like, if this is real and organic, and that's the only way to reach a certain demographic and a wide audience, it's curtains. It's just over. If you have to curse and berate and promote degeneracy to reach an audience, America is toast. The demographic that can only be reached through degeneracy and profanity is...
Yeah, Jason Whitlock is saying a lot here because we need to be focused on the future. And a lot of us think millennials, Gen X, that's not the generation we need to be focusing on. It's the ones that's in the nursery, the ones that's in daycare. The generation is slowly moving, but eventually I would hope to think that it's just like eating that same favorite food over and over again. Eventually you will become numb to it and you'll require something different. Family, we just got to require something different. Hey, I'm not down with all the cussing. I personally try not to cuss on this channel. And when the videos do cuss, I do a decent job of trying to edit it out for you. I appreciate you for tapping into the channel. Make sure you definitely tap in so you could be back in. Stay in the loop. Stay engaged. Check out this video right here. Till next time, we out.
And that's facts.
Shots fired.